Pranams to one and all present in this session. As Gauri ma'am told in the introduction, we will be discussing Shiksha Vedanga, the very first Vedanga that is studied before the commencement of Vedic studies in the tradition. That is supposed to be studied, I should say rather today. But it's a very important Vedanga for us to even start the Adhyayana of Veda. The term Vedanga itself suggests that it is an auxiliary discipline of Vedas. So it's an Anga of Veda. Okay, so without the study of Shiksha, the study of Vedas will be incomplete. So being incomplete is a different thing, but you can't even start the study of Vedas. So that is the importance of Shiksha in the context of Vedic studies. It is very clear from Patanjali's Mahabhashya that before getting into the study of Vedas, the students used to study how to pronounce letters correctly. So, tebhyaha tattat sthananupradhanajnebhyaha vaidika shabdasma upadishyante. I'm sorry. Mahabhashyakara Patanjali makes this statement. So, if you also consider the importance given to the protection of Vedic texts, okay, without allowing any kind of distortion or corruption in the text, so we can understand the importance of Shiksha Shastra in the study of Vedas. So, how does a text gets corrupted? In the oral tradition. Okay, so in a written tradition, there are many other factors which come into play when we discuss the corruption of a text. But in a oral tradition, how a text undergoes unwanted changes. If you see this, it's very natural for our human beings to make changes. Okay, so the same word which is there in the language is not uttered or pronounced the same way among the people itself, among the people who speak that language as their mother tongue. So among those people themselves, it is not the same. Okay, so it is very natural for people to change the way of pronunciation. Okay, so in some parts of India, we have the word vana, it becomes bana. Okay, it's very natural. So nothing against it. It's actually prakriti. So these prayogas will be called as prakrita prayogas, which are very sweet, in fact. So nothing against it, but there is a need for us to keep these texts uncorrupted. Okay, without allowing any kind of unwanted changes in the text. So we will have to pay more attention towards this varnocharana. So that is prakrita, which has the changes because of the prakriti, the natural changes. But at the same time, Samskriti is also very important. So we have to keep these things cleansing every now and then, so that there is no much change. Okay, so that is the objective of Shiksha Shastra itself. So in order to do it, first we will have to divide the whole Vangmaya, the whole literature, into the smallest particles possible. So the smallest component of a Vangmaya, of a literature, is Varna. Okay. So first what they did was they observed this Vangmaya and divided these Vangmayas into the smallest particles possible, that is Varnas, and then they came up with some methods to describe Varnas and tell how to pronounce them perfectly. So with this is the exercise basically which Shiksha Shastra does. Okay. So first of all, you organize the whole language, you divide the whole language into Varnas, and then tell what are the characteristics of that varna and tell us how to pronounce them. This is precisely what we do in Shiksha Shastra. So as I told you, it defines the characteristics of letters. Okay, each characteristic has been taken into consideration, and they say, okay, if this is the varna, this is how it has to be. Now, when we talk about varnas, how do we find out the characteristics of a varna? Okay, because we can only hear them. So what are the characteristics of the varnas? How can we describe them? So it needs a very close examination of these varnas. So Paniniya Shiksha says that these are the 5 factors that determine the form of a varna. That is swara, kala, sthana, abhyantara prayatna and bahya prayatna. Okay, swara is roughly translated as intonation or the accent, and kala, time taken to pronounce a particular varna, and then sthana and karana. I have put these two together, though in some Shiksha Shastras they have been put differently, sthana and karana, but I will explain why I have done this. Sthana is the place of articulation, and what is the place of articulation? That we will see in detail. And then abhyantara prayatna and bahya prayatna. Abhyantara prayatna is the contact between sthana and karana inside the oral cavity, and bahya prayatna is those prayatnas, those efforts which are outside the oral cavity. So this is roughly the 5 factors. These are the 5 factors which determine the form of a varna. So what Shiksha Shastra does is actually it takes each varna and says what is the swara, what is the kala. However, swara is not applicable to all the varnas. Anyway, sthana, abhyantara prayatna, bahya prayatna, these are the 3 key characteristics of a varna that determine the form. So the Shiksha Shastra does it precisely, and it also describes the process of pronunciation, how a letter is pronounced. In the beginning itself, it sheds some light on this, on the details of this procedure, so that we are aware of it. And it also explains the subtle details of actions involved in this pronunciation, and many subtle details which are seen in Shiksha Shastra, they sometimes really make us wonder how these people were able to observe these small things, because many of those actions are involuntary. Unless we have the help of some modern tools which we use today, I think it's very difficult to even observe these processes. I will give some examples for this also. If you take Shiksha Shastra, there are a number of texts. Okay, so some are very common to all the Sanskrit literature, all types of Sanskrit literature that exists, and some of them are exclusive for some traditions. For example, we have something called Pratishakhya. It also comes under Shiksha Shastra itself. So Pratishakyas come under, they are actually associated with one branch of Vedas. So there are some letters which are exclusively for, used in that particular shaka. For example, ಳ is not used in all the Vedas. ಳ is seen in Rig Veda, and some sounds like Gn, Gn, these are some of the sounds. These are found in Taittiriya Shakha, and there are such some sounds which are exclusively used in those traditions. So the Pratishakhya works which are associated with those shakhas, they explain these letters also, these sounds also. So these are some of the very well-known texts on Shiksha: Vyasa Shiksha, Naradaya Shiksha, Paniniya Shiksha. We now have 2 versions of Paniniya Shiksha. One is the very famous one, which is in the form of verses, the versified form of that grantha. And recently, that is 1.5 centuries ago, Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Arya Samaj discovered this grantha called Paniniya Shiksha, which is in the form of sutras, which also resembles the Shiksha Shastra of Apishali. He is another Acharya. Many sutras are identical. So that is also being used nowadays in some traditions. And Rik Pratishakya, Taitriya Pratishakya, Riktantra Vyakarana. There are actually more than 75 works on Shiksha Shastra available today. Okay, among them, Paniniya Shiksha, which is in the versified form, is a more popular. It is studied by people. So the seeds of Shiksha Shastra were sown in Vedic texts themselves, as Professor Gauri ma'am mentioned in the beginning of this lecture. So you can take any Vedanga. The seeds of all these Vedangas are seen in Vedas themselves. Then the Acharyas who came subsequently, based on the need of the time, they elaborately discussed and elucidated these things for us. So in the very beginning of Paniniya Shiksha Shastra, we find these verses. This actually explains the procedure of sound generation, how we generate sounds, particularly varnas. Okay, so here we will have to make some distinction between varnas and normal sounds. So varna and dhvani, these are the two types of sounds. They are also called as vyaktavak and avyaktavak. So all those sounds which are in the form of varna letter are called vyaktavak. Other sounds which are not in the form of varna, for example, the sound when we which is generated by clapping, and the sound of animals and birds, these are called avyaktavak. So here Paniniya Shiksha discusses only vyaktavak. Okay, we are not interested in avyaktavak. So here we are interested in vyaktavak. That is why they start with explaining the procedure of varna generation. The shlokas I have taken from 2-3 different granthas. Anyway, both of these granthas are called Paniniya Shiksha. So Akashavayu Prabhavas Sharirat Samucharan Vaktramupaiti Nadaha Sthanantareshu Pravibhajyamano Varnatvamagachati Yaha Sa Shabdaha. Then Atma Buddhya Sametyarthan Mano Yungte Vivakshaya Manah Kaya Gnima Anti Sa Prerayati Marutam. Sodirno Murdhyabhato Vakramapadyamaruta Varnan Janayate. So these are in the form of verses. Almost the same procedure is explained in the Sutra Rupa Paniniya Shiksha. Tatra Nabhi Pradeshat Prayatna Preritah Prano Nama Vayuhu Urdhvam Akraman Ura Adinam Sthananam Anyatarasmin Sthane Prayatnena Vidharyate Vidharyamanasopi Tattat Sthanani Vihanti Tasmat Sthanabhigatat Dhvanirutpadyate Akashe Sa Varnashruti. So the essence of all these three passages is that the varna is generated by the vayu. Okay, the air which is pumped by our lungs, it rises, it moves upwards, and then when it reaches one of these places of articulation, because of action in the contact made between sthana and karana, this vayu is, you can say, not stopped completely, but there is a hindrance in its movement. So because of that hindrance, sometimes it is completely blocked, completely it is partially blocked, sometimes there is some hindrance. So because of this hindrance, this vayu strikes those places of articulation, for example, kantha, talu, and other places. So when it strikes these places, this is the cause of the generation of varna. Okay. Otherwise, if we don't do this, it's just the plain sound we hear. So when are these varnas generated? Only when we bring these two things together and there is a contact between sthana and karana, then only varna is generated. For example, we have a sthana called kantha. roughly translated as throat, which is here, which is in the maybe the root of your tongue and the upper part of it. So unless we make the contact there, the sound is just just a plain sound. So when we make a contact between the root of our tongue and the upper part of it, which is called kantha, then we can pronounce ka. Okay. So unless this happens, unless this contact happens, there is no varna generation. Similarly, cha. So the middle part of our tongue touches palate. Then this sound is generated, cha. Otherwise, the vayu is simply moving, and we get some plain sound or something like that. So for varnas to be generated, it is very important that these two, sthana and karana, come together and there is some kind of contact between these two. There are many types of contacts. For example, in some varnas, we completely touch the sthana with this karana. In some varnas, we don't touch completely, we touch them partially. So all these contacts are there. These are called abhyantara prayatnas, which are explained further. So the process of word generation is this. Vayu, the air, internal air is pumped by the lungs, okay, and then it moves upwards, and when it reaches one of these places of articulation, kantha, talu, murdha, danta, aroshtha, and there is a hindrance in its movement, then that vayu strikes those places. There is some pressure applied on those places. Because of that, we have different types of varnas coming out. Otherwise, the only sound we can make is that's all, nothing else. This is the basic process of letter generation. If we move further and see what are those factors which determine the form of a letter, because we have so many letters, 63 or 64, Trishashtihi, Chatushashtirva, Varnash, Shambhumate Mataha. So we have 63 or 64 varnas in the opinion of Shambhu, Shiva. So what makes each of these varnas different from others? That is the question we will have to answer in the beginning itself. So there we saw 5 factors. Among them I have taken 3 here. Kala and Swara are pertinent to some varnas only. So these are the 3 factors which we will see in some detail in this session, so that we can get a flavor of what Shiksha Shastra is and how scientific it is. So we have 3 factors: sthana, abhyantara prayatna, and bahya prayatna. Sthana is the place of articulation, which we just saw in that passage. Okay, so where the place of articulation means where we create some kind of hindrance to the movement of the air, that is sthana. And then abhyantara prayatna is the second very important factor. Abhyantara prayatna, as I told you, is the internal effort. That means, it's the translation. Technically, if you want to see what is abhyantara prayatna, it is the type of contact that is made between this place of articulation and the instrument, that is karna. And then bahya prayatna, these are external efforts, roughly translated. So these efforts are not inside the oral cavity. We call this mukha vivara, the oral cavity, which starts with our lips and ends at a place. It is called kakalaka here. You can touch in your okay, here in the throat. It's a slightly curved place, which is very prominent in our tongue. So anything happens, all the prayatnas which happen in within this, they are called abhyantara prayatna, and out of it they are called bahya prayatna. And one thing we must remember is that abhyantara prayatna is a voluntary action. That means you know what is happening, and if you want to do it, you can do it. But bahya prayatna is not so. Abhyantara prayatna, as I told you, is the contact between the sthana and the karana. So if I want to say ka, I can think, okay, let me, or cha, okay, let me touch the palate with my, with the middle part of my tongue. Okay, let me press it a little bit. Then I'll get cha. Okay. Otherwise, ya, e, sh. So these are the different types of contacts we are making, and we can do it at our wish. Whereas bahya prayatnas are not like that. Most of the bahya prayatnas happen in the vocal cord, kantha vivara. That's what they say in Shiksha Shastra. So most of these bahya prayatnas take place there, and there are bahya prayatnas which are in other places also. Okay. Now, the first thing that determines the form of a varna is kantha, that we can experience very clearly. Okay. If a varna is coming from, if two varnas are coming from two different places of articulation, sthanas, then they are called, they are different. Naturally, they are different. Okay. So if we say ka and cha, why are these two varnas different? How are these different? So we will say, see, ka is coming from kantha, cha is coming from talu, the palate. So because of the form and nature of these two different places of articulation, because of the types of muscles or bones that are present there. Okay, so these two sounds are different. We can clearly say that. So we will see what sthanas, what places of articulation different varnas have. So in the beginning, in Shiksha Shastra also, they will describe the sthanas only. Akuha visarjaniyaha kanthyaha. So these are the varnas which are generated from kantha. Okay. Here means all the three types of akara. We have akara in three kalas, hrasva, dirgha and pluta. So these akaras are generated from kantha, and then ku means kavarga, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, and hakara, and then visarjaniya, visarga. So these are the letters which are generated from kantha. So this thing we can very clearly feel, whereas other shastras, many of the concepts are very abstract, and sometimes it may be difficult to understand them. But Shiksha Shastra is very simple. Just pronounce the letters, you will feel it. So ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. Say all these letters and see where they are coming from. Okay, there is a difference of opinion about the sthana of and ha among the acharyas. However, many of them have agreed that the sthana of akara is kantha, also hakara. Okay, and then we have talu. That's the palate. You can translate it as. So the varnas originating from there are these: e, chu, ya, sha. E means all the variations of ivarna, hrasva, dirgha and pluta, and chu, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, and yakara and shakara. So you can pronounce all these letters and feel e, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, and sha. And then we have some place called Murdha. So which is this place actually, here also there is a difference of opinion anyway. To put it very clearly, you can feel the teeth here. Let me show it to you. Yeah. So this is our oral cavity. This is where it opens. These are our lips, and these are the teeth. This place 0.4 you can say is actually Murdha. This is what they are talking about. So these are the varnas that are generated, that are pronounced from these places, articulated from this place, Murdha. So R, 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 all the three variants of Rukara, Ruvarna, and then Ta, Tha, Da, Dhana, and Ra and Sha. So these are the letters which are there. Dantaha, Lutulasaha Dantyaha. Okay, so Danta is tooth. So we have a set of teeth, the upper teeth particularly. So these are the letters which are generated from there. Okay, L, L, Rasva and Pluta of Lukara, and Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na, Lakara and Sakara. Then we have Oshthav, the two lips. These are the letters Ukara, Ukara and Ukara, Papa, Babhama, and then Upadhamaniya. Upadhamaniya is a sound. When a Visarga is followed by Pa or Pa, then that Visarga is replaced by this sound. So it is pronounced something like this. Can you hear the sound? This is the sound of Upadhamaniya. And we have these letters coming from Nasika. Okay, Anuswara and Yamas. So Nasika is not this external nose we have, but that place which connects our nose and oral cavity inside, that is called Nasika. Okay, there is a connection between these two. Sometimes we are drinking water and if we are disturbed, if we have unwanted movements, then the water comes out of our nose. So we are very well aware that these two are connected. So that place, that point, the connecting point between nose and mouth, oral cavity, is called Nasika here. So for a sound to be nasal, Vayu Abhighata should be there. So the Vayu, the air has to strike at that point, then only we get these nasal sounds. So these are the sounds which are exclusively generated from Nasika, Anuswara and Yamas. I have written something like that here because there are no symbols exclusively for Yamas, exclusively used for Yamas. Okay, so I will discuss Yamas in the next slide. It's a testimony to the keen and very minute observation of our ancestors. So they have observed these sounds and they have documented them. They have included them inside the Varnamala, inside the alphabet, so to say. So the Anuswara is pronounced like this. The plain sound is Anuswara sound. And Yamas are, there is a difference of opinion regarding these Yamas. Anyway, so in my opinion, Yamas can be pronounced like this. These are the sounds for Yamas. We will discuss these Yamas in the next slide. So this is the oral cavity. You can see here, this is our tongue. If we make contact between these two, then the Kantha Mula and Jihva Mula, and here, then we get those Kanthya Varnas, Akuha Visarjaniya. Then middle of our tongue, and then we make contact here. Okay, 0.7 you can say. So we get Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Na, Sha. If you come here, then we get Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na. If you come here, Danta Mula, okay, Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na, Sa, La, all these letters. And then if we come out, here we get Pa, Pha, Ba, Bha, Ma, and U. All these letters are generated there. So these are the Varnas which are generated only from one sthana. So there are also Varnas which are generated from, which are articulated from more than one sthana. So the Varnas that are articulated from two sthanas are A, I, O, Au. For A and I, we use Kantha and Talu both together. And for O and O, we use Kantha and Oshtha together. And then we have Va. Va is articulated from two sthanas, that is teeth, the upper tip of teeth and the lower lip. So two sthanas. And then we have Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga. All the last letters of the vargas, all the 5 vargas, they are from two sthanas. Okay, that sthana with respect to that particular varga, that is Ka, if it is in Kavarga, then it has to be from Kantha. Then along with that we have nasal sound, Nga, Nya, Na, Na, Ma. These are some of the letters which are articulated from multiple sthanas, more than one sthana. Then this is the first factor which differentiates between varna to varna. So the second factor is abhyantara prayatna. We just saw that from a single sthana we can pronounce many letters, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, na, all these from the same sthana. Then what makes the difference between these two? Okay, from Talu I can say E, Ya, Cha, Sha. So the same sthana and same karana. Okay, Jihva, Madhya and Talu, I am pronouncing all these letters from there. E, Cha, Ya, Sha. So what makes the difference between these letters? It is the abhyantara prayatna. So this is sprishta prayatna and ishat sprishta prayatna, vivrita, ishad vivrita and samvrita. These are the 5 abhyantara prayatnas mentioned in Shiksha Shastras. There are more prayatnas also. Okay, as we observe these letters more closely, as we examine these with more attention, we can actually make out the difference, more differences between the varnas which appear to be similar. Okay. So we have sprishta prayatna, that is sprishta is touch, complete touch. There is no space for the air to pass. So when you pronounce these letters, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, na. First we make the contact and we release it. Unless we release it, you can't pronounce ka, ka, kha, ga, gha. So this is sprishta, complete touch. In some cases, we also press the sthana with our karana. So these are the letters which are having this sprishta prayatna. All the vargiya vyanjanas, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, the 25 vargiya vyanjanas have this prayatna. And then ishat sprishta, these 4 letters which are also called antastha, ya, ra, la, va, these have ishat sprishta, that is sprishta is touch, ishat is slightly touching. So we touch the sthana with the karana, but not completely, not very tightly, but there is a contact. Ya, ra, la, va. Okay. So if I don't make the contact very slightly, then it will become some other varna. Sure, maybe there is a difference of bahya prayatna also there. So this is what makes the difference between ya and cha. Cha is sprishta, ya is ishat sprishta. Similarly, ta and la, complete touch. Okay, so we pronounce ta. Very slightly touching, that is la. The result is la. Then we have vivritam, having this passage for air open. There is no hindrance. That means there is very little hindrance, but the air is not stopped. When you say a, when you say e, the air can easily pass, and you can sustain these letters, all these swaras, because it is open. The passage for air is open. Whereas you can't even, let alone sustaining, you can't even pronounce these letters, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, because it is completely blocked. The passage is completely blocked. So that is the difference between these letters. And u, r, a, o, I, o. So all these letters, when we pronounce, the passage is open. Okay. Uh, we can discuss few things about r and l, okay, if we have time, because they have a mixture of swara and vyanjana both. Let us see. Then we have ishad vivratam. There are letters uh, with this prayatna. When we pronounce this, it is open. The passage is open, but not completely open, slightly open. Sh, s. The air is passing through. We can still sustain these sounds. Sh, s. Okay, but not completely open. There is ishad vivrata. And finally, we have samvrata. It is exclusively for akara. So in South India today, we don't see much difference between hraswa akara and dirgha akara. Okay, but the difference between these two can be very clearly observed in the pronunciation of Maharashtrian people. Okay. Very clearly, they make distinction between and a, whereas that kind of distinction is somewhat lost in South India today. Anyway. So next we have Bahya Prayatna. We saw the two factors which actually make the difference between each Varna. But even with these, even there are some Varnas which have Sthana and Abhyantara Prayatna, the same Sthana and same Abhyantara Prayatna. But still the Varnas are different. So what is the differentiating factor here? That is Bahya Prayatna. So we have a list of 11 Bahya Prayatnas: Vivara, Samvara, Shvasa, Nada, Ghosha, Aghosha, Alpa Prana, Mahaprana, Udatta, Anudatta, and Swarita. So these are the 11 Bahya Prayatnas listed in Shiksha Shastra. But there is an interesting thing to be noted here, that Vivara, Shvasa, Aghosha, though they are counted as different Bahya Prayatnas, they are actually one group, and Vivara is the basic Bahya Prayatna, and Shvasa and Aghosha are the result of Vivara. Okay. So let us understand the terms Vivara and Samvara. Vivara is opening, Samvara is closing, contrast. So these two things happen, these two prayatnas happen in our Kantha Vivara. This is what we hear from Shiksha Shastra. So what is this Kantha Vivara? It is actually our vocal cord. Our vocal cord, there are two actions there. Samvara is the contrast of the vocal cord. So two vocal cords come together, closer, then it is Samvara. If they move apart, then it's called Vivara. So when there is Vivara, that means it's open. That means the vocal cords are far apart, far away from each other. Then the air very easily passes through. So that is Shvasa. And then when it is passing, there is no vibration in the, there is very less vibration in our vocal cords. There is that is why it is Aghosha. Whereas in Samvara, these two vocal cords come together very near to each other. So when the air passes through that, there is Ghosha, there is some kind of vibration in them, which results in Nada, which results in, so these are called voiced and non-voiced syllables, letters, as far as I remember in the current phonetic studies. So wherever there is Vivara, Shvasa and Aghosha follow that Vivara. Wherever there is Samvara, Nada and Ghosha follow. Okay, so these are in groups. There are two groups, and you can't have Samvara, Shvasa and Aghosha in any Varna, because once there is Samvara, then Nada and Ghosha are in place. Okay, they follow it inevitably. So this is an observation which they have done. So these are the letters which have these two Bahya Prayatnas. because these are called bahya prayatnas because these happen outside the oral cavity, that is here, not here. That means from the lips to kakalaka. You can actually feel this ghosha and aghosha. Okay, the sound itself is very different, and also you can place your finger here and feel the vibration. Okay, when we pronounce the varnas g, gh, ng, j, jh, ny, g, you can feel the vibration here. Whereas in k, k, ch, ch, almost nothing. You can't feel anything here. So these are the varnas which have these bahya prayatnas: vivara, shwasa, aghosha. Ka, kha, cha, cha, ta, tha, ta, tha, pa, pha, and sha, sha, sa. And these two yamas. Okay, I will explain yamas in brief. Okay. And jihva muliya and upadhvaniya visarga. These are the varnas which have these bahya prayatnas. And samvaranada ghosha are the bahya prayatnas for these letters: ga, ghanga, ja, jhanya, da, dhana, da, dhana, ba, bhama, yara, lava, ha, gh, and all the swaras. Okay. And then we have another set of bahya prayatnas, that is alpa prana and mahaprana. So this is very well known thing in our in all our mother tongue. Okay. So we have ka, ga, nga, cha, ja, nya, ta, da, na, ta, da, na, pa, ba, ma, yara, lava, and all the swaras with alpa prana. And with mahaprana you can see these letters. Okay. And sha, sha, sa, and ha also come under mahaprana only. Okay, so these are the bahya prayatnas related to associated with vyanjanas. And then we have three bahya prayatnas which are associated with swaras: udatta, anudatta, and swarita. Again, here we have different opinions on these bahya prayatnas, but anyway, these are intonations. Okay, so when we speak, we never speak plainly. There is always up and down in our tone. So this is intonation, and these are only connected with swaras. Okay, so this is about bahya prayatna. Now, with the background of these sthana, abhyantara prayatna, and bahya prayatna, if you look at our varnamala alphabet, you can understand how scientifically they have been organized. So we start from a. So the general principle followed here is that in the arrangement of these varnas, the inside out order of sthanas is followed. For example, that sthana which is inside, the varnas originating from that will come first. So a and a articulated from kantha are first, and then e, talu, and then u. You can say why not r and l, because they are in between. You can, that is because r and l have a certain element of vyanjana in them. They are not purely swaras. Okay. So if we look at Shiksha Shastra, and particularly Mahabhashya of Patanjali, he clearly explains these two letters. Okay. So r and l have some element of vyanjana in them, but it's not vyanjana per se, but a sound like vyanjana is present in between them. And how to pronounce this r? It is actually the element of vyanjana sandwiched between the two sounds of swara, and that swara is very unique swara which doesn't match with any of these swaras. Patanjali says this very clearly. So this is the sequence of sounds present in r, that is one rikara, r and t. So the correct way of pronouncing r is r. You should not start from r itself, because there is an element of swara before repha, before that vyanjanamsha. So similarly, l has an element of l in between. So these two are placed here after a, e, u, because they're not just swaras, they have an element of vyanjana in them. And then we have a, I, o, au. These are placed in the end, even though they don't have any element of vyanjana in them, because these are having multiple places of articulation, kantha talu and kantha oshtha. And then we come to these four letters, which for which we don't have. I mean, we do have signs, but I was not able to type these signs separately in this Word, okay, Microsoft Word. So I have written their names. Anuswara is Anuswara. Visarjaniya or Visarga, that is sound. And Jihvamuliya is sound. And Upadhmaniya is sound. I hope you are able to hear these sounds. And then we have the Vargiya Vyanjanas, ka, kha, ga, gha, ga, cha, cha, ja, ja, na, ta, ta, da, da. First we have swaras, okay. So swaras, as we all saw now, have the abhyantara prayatna vivruta, completely vivruta, open. The passage for air is open. It is not stopped anywhere. So we have swaras here. And then we came to these Anuswara Visarjaniya, which are also called Ayogavahas. And then we came to the Varnas, Vargiya Vyanjanas. These are also called Sparsha Varnas. That means, which clearly say that in pronouncing these Varnas, we touch the place of articulation with the Karana, the instrument. Okay. So then we come to, even here, the both orders, vertical and horizontal orders are very logical. Okay. So first we will see the horizontal order or vertical order. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, ta, ta, da, da, na, ta, ta, da, da. So inside out order is there. You can observe ka from kantha, cha from talu, ta from murdha, ta from danta, and pa from oshtha. Okay, inside this we have this horizontal order, ka, kha, ga, gha, ga. Why this order? We have ka and kha. Okay, this is based on the bahya prayatnas. Ka and kha, both these have vivara shvasa aghosha. Ga and gha have samvara nada ghosha. And why kha after ka? Ka is alpa prana, kha is mahaprana. Ga is alpa prana, gha is mahaprana. In the end, we have nga, which has two places of articulation, that is kantha and nasika. So this is the order. Vivarashvasa aghosha alpa prana. Vivarashvasa aghosha mahaprana. Samvarashvasa ghosha alpa prana. Samvara nada ghosha alpa prana. Samvara nada ghosha mahaprana. And samvara nada ghosha alpa prana anunasika in the end. So this is the logic they have followed in all the vargas. So both horizontally and vertically, there is a logic in this arrangement. And then we come to ya, ra, la, va. These letters are called antastha. So these have the abhyantara prayatna ishat sprishta. Okay. So ya, ra, la, va. Again, ya, talu. After talu we have ra, murdha. After murdha we have la, danta, and then va. Okay. And then again in this sha, sha, sa. Sha, sha, and sa. Sha talu, sha is murdha, sa is danta. Finally, hakara. As I told you, there is a difference of opinion about the sthana of hakara, whether it is kantha or it is uras or it is the whole oral cavity. So hakara is placed in the end. Okay. And then we have so these are the four yamas. Okay. So these are not the independent letters that we can see in any word, but these come into place where there is a sanyoga of two letters, particularly the two Vargiya Vyanjanas. Even there, we have to consider that it should be a letter from a letter among these 20 Okay, any letter from these 20 set should be the first letter. Then the following letter must be any of these. Na, 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 ma. So in between these two, yamas are seen, observed. So a very convenient or very easy example to observe here, I often give to the students, is say prayatna. You know the word prayatna? Say prayatna. There you can observe this letter being pronounced. So you have t and n. Between t and n, you can hear something like t. The t is first yama. Okay. So Siddhanta Kaumudikara says like Varge Shwadhyanam Chaturnam Panchamaya Pare Madhye Yamo Nama Purva Sadrisho Varna Pratishakya Prasiddha. Okay. So this is the logic behind the organization of these Varnas. Shiksha Shastra has got many more details, very deep, and there are many Shastrakaras having different opinions about Varnas and others. But very important thing that we can understand, and we can understand it and we can feel when we pronounce these letters. These are the three aspects. Okay, that's a different
phoneme and the grapheme.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a different. I'm not an expert in that. And one thing we should understand that Devanagari as a common script for Sanskrit is being used very recently all over the India, all over the country. But in different regions, we find Sanskrit being written in different scripts. So for our convenience, we can use Devanagari, but we should also be aware that there are different scripts used for writing Sanskrit. So that association, I'm not an expert on that. That is called Pluta. E and E. Okay. So the time taken to pronounce each of these letters. E is one matra kala. One matra is a unit. Okay. So it's not a fixed unit. It's a very relative unit. Okay. So if this is one matra, then this has to be two matras like that. So when you see E written with 3, that means you have to elongate it for 3 matras. That is, if E is Hrasva, E, it has to be Pluta. In Panini, I have not seen these Varnas, but based on the description of Varnas and categorization of these Varnas and Abhyantar Prayatna and Bahya Prayatna, we can attempt to explain these Varnas in this framework. So one is the Veda Shakha they are associated with, as I told you. There are some letters which are seen only in those shakhas. So the letters are not present there, they don't bother about it. So this is the basic, this is one of the basic grounds of difference. And observation also differs. For example, I showed you 4 yamas. Some Shikshakaras say that there are 20 yamas. So when we say 4 yamas, their opinion is that when a first letter of a varga is followed by the last letter of any varga, this is the common yama which occurs between them. But if you go on observing more subtle details, okay, minute details, then you may be able to differentiate between one yama of one varga from the other yama of other varga. For example, prayatna, you have ta after na. So between these two sounds occurs. Okay. So if you take some other letter, asikni, ta and na. So there also sound is coming, but if you are able to observe the minute detail there, minute difference there, then you can say, no, this is a different varna altogether. So this is one of the grounds of difference. And also some places I feel that because of the regional differences, there are some differences in the Acharya's description of varnas themselves. So the place itself is different in some Shiksha Shastras. What we have discussed so far in this session is sufficient for studying Vyakarana.
Okay.
This much of Shiksha is sufficient for studying Vyakarana. But if you want to go further details, then yeah.
I think
this Shiksha Shastra is not needed. And one more thing, one more interesting thing I wanted to bring here is that these three things, Sthana, Abhyantara Prayatna and Bahya Prayatna, these can be used to say the Lakshana of a Varna. Okay, if a Varna has this particular Sthana, this Abhyantara Prayatna and this set of Bahya Prayatna, it can be only this letter. For example, Ka, okay, Kantha, Sprishta Abhyantara Prayatna, okay, Vivar Shvasa Ghosha, Alpa Prana. So if this is the combination I am saying, okay, the combination of Sthana Abhyantara Prayatna and Bahya Prayatna. Kantha, Sprishta, Vivar Shvasa Ghosha, Alpa Prana. It has to be Ka. It cannot be any other Varna.
so the perfection is there.
Yeah. So perfecting one letter from all dimensions possible. From Sthana, from Karana, from the dimension of Abhyantara Prayatna, Bahya Prayatna. It has to be that letter. It cannot be any other letter.
Any other.
This is a very unique feature of this Shiksha Shastra. So you get to know the Varnas as, I mean, completely, from a complete perspective.
I think it was awesome to make it on a lighter tone, because this was very proud Vyakhyana. So I am not a Vaiyakarana, right? I am a common person. So just to tell you, the people who are there, you know, a common difference, very common Subhashita, I first tell, and then I'll narrate a small anecdote from Shatapatha Brahmana. So the common Subhashita is Yadyapi Bahunadhishe Pataputra Vyakaranam. Even if you don't study too much, it's okay, but Vyakarana you must study. Anyatha kim bhavet? Swajano Swajano Mabhut Sakalam Shakalam Sakrit Shakrit. The Sakara and the Shakara, if you can't distinguish between the pronunciation, here comes the Shiksha. Here comes the Shastra of pronunciation, Uchcharana Shastra. The Sakara is Danti and Shakara is Talavya, and another Shakara is Murdhanya. You have to differentiate while speaking Sakara, Shakara, Shakara. Okay, so that is the first thing. Anyatha, Swajana would become Shvajana, the dog family, okay? And Sakala would become Shakala, pieces, and Sakrit ones would become Shakrit, a cow dung. So that's a very famous Subhashita, learned, I think, in the school days by many of the students. I'm reminded because there is Swara also as the Bahya Prayatna, and there is a very famous anecdote from Shatapatha Brahmana. Vashta was performing a sacrifice because Vashta's son Trishiras was killed by Indra, and therefore he was performing and offering oblations because he wanted a son who will be able to kill Indra. And therefore Indra Shatru Vivardhasva, that was what he wanted to say. But the Aghata, the Swara, there are three Swaras, Udatta, Anudatta, Swarita. The Indra Pada had to be Anudatta while uttering, then only the mantra potential will go to the enemy of Indra. But it it went to a different manner, and it was uttered as an udatta, as a matter, as that effect of that, the potential or the mantra samarthya went to Indra, and Indra could kill Vritra. So that is the famous story. So mantro hinaha swarato varnato va, the shloka on that, mantro hinaha swarato varnato va, mithya prayukto na tadarthamaha. Na tadarthamaha, whatever you intend, that doesn't speak that. Sa vagvajro yajamanaha hinasti. Sa vagvajraha yajamanam hinasti. That kills the yajamana himself. Yathendra shatruhu swarato paradhat. Yatha Indra Shatruhu Swarataha Aparadhat, because the Swara was not pronounced in a right manner, it went against him. So that is the importance of Shiksha, and therefore Shiksha, Vyakarana, all these Vedangas, and especially for the Vedas, these are the ancillary text, auxiliary text, for the Vedas, the supplementing the Vedas. If the mantras are uttered in a different manner, the meaning changes altogether. And for thousands of years, this tradition has been preserved just because of the correct pronunciation and not a syllable transported from its place also. So that is the strength, and therefore one must be very, very, very particular in pronouncing everything. So with this, I close with Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha.